Mm. All right. So can everybody hear me? Just give me a thumbs up or something if you can hear me. You know how I usually do it. Give it about 2 minutes or so before we get jumping into this thing, and then we get off into the horizon of money and all that other good stuff. Just want to make sure. Can anybody hear me? Thumbs up. Yeah, I can hear you. Hell no, I can't hear you. Hey, Levita, how's it going? All right, people can hear me. That's all I need. I just needed one person to say, yeah, they can hear me. All right. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, I know I can, when I put this, not live, but when I put this out there for streaming, I can cut off the first couple minutes, but I ain't doing that. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. Give y'all the preview into the preview of what it takes to wait for people to get online. But again, we about 30 seconds or so from starting, so. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Hey, welcome everybody who's joined so far. It looks like we're about to get started. I was just waiting for the 2 minute past time mark to give enough people to get in here. As always, y'all know how to go. Ask the questions in the comment section. I'm gonna come back and hit every question in the comment section. Ask as many as you can. Don't hesitate. Let's get into this. But again, this channel is more about letting people know and understand what's going on with their money. And I can go through all the headlines in the news articles and tell you where a snippet of it may affect you. Well, I don't care about that. I only care about the things that will affect the majority of the people in the US. With that, again, ask all your questions in the comment section. Me, I'm going to go through the weekly wrap up of things that's important to you as far as finance wise. But all in all, I want to set this up to ask any money questions that you have this week because I want to hit them all. No question is stupid. Only stupid questions are the ones that's not asked. So please, 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 please ask as many questions as possible. I'll be here to the last person stop asking questions. All right, let's get it started. We know Thursday or Wednesday. Wednesday, they came out and said, a 3-judge panel came out and said that they blocked Trump's tariffs. Of course, if you follow the news past that, then on Thursday and Friday, they got an injunction to keep the tariffs on. So the tariff thing, let's just get rid of that and throw that out the window right now. The tariffs will still be on until eventually it will get to the Supreme Court, and then they will figure it out there. That's the highest court in the land. That's where it's going to happen. Don't sit here and worry yourself about, oh, if the tariff's on, the tariff's off. One question that I keep getting from people, they say, oh, well, the tariff's off, the stock market's up. The stock market's up, but again, the stock market don't affect the real economy. The stock market is for the people that is invested in the stock market. Understand, when the news came out on Thursday or Wednesday night that this judge blocked the tariffs from happening, the stock market went up. But now you also got to remember on the other side of that, hey, Vasson, how's it going? Hey, Ludine, how's it going? But the flip side of that is understand that the stock market going up just means companies are making more money. That don't mean they're hiring more employees. understand the tariff, the base premise of the tariffs. The base premise of the tariffs is, hey, we want more money. We want to stop other countries from selling everything to the United States without producing jobs in the United States. That's the base case. But of course, they want fair trade and all that other stuff that goes along with it. Got it. So when the tariffs was quote unquote blocked for about 5 minutes in the with that 3-judge panel for the trade group, the stock market went up. The stock market went up because it gave companies the okay to outsource jobs and everything and then keep selling stuff back to the United States. That's one of the major reasons why the stock market went up. But for the everyday person, we don't deal in the stock market. I mean, I know people are going to say, oh, we got a 401k. Yeah, that's cute. But we don't deal in the stock market. We deal in everyday things that's going on. So sitting here humming and hawing about if the tariff's on, the tariff's off, that shouldn't matter. What should matter is, hey, with the tariffs off, there's a lot more outsourcing. Because jobs, trust me, I've been in a lot of board meetings. I've been in a lot of conversations with organizations talking about what's going on. A lot. And there's a lot of them that's creating automation and shipping jobs overseas and then selling their products back to the United States. That is the true reality of what's going on. Now, I don't care if you agree with Trump's antics or whatever. Hell, a lot of them I'd be asking what the hell's going on with my damn self. But we can't deny that from the 70s to now that more jobs have left the United States than has been created in the United States. We can't deny it. So understand that. So with that, the judges did block the tariffs for about 30 seconds. Another appeals court brought them back on, and then eventually this is gonna get to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court gonna figure it out in months to week to come. But all in all, it comes down to, it's not about you and I. You and I, we have our jobs, we're going to live. It's really about the next generation. The next generation of people, of will they have sustainable jobs to keep them alive and afloat in the United States well after we're gone. That's what this battle is about. It has nothing to do with us. Like I said many weeks ago, it's going to suck for us anyway. So now it's just up to what you want to do about it. So just understand that's what's going on. Now, another question I got, and again, ask your questions in the comment section. Anything about money, I'm just telling y'all questions I'm getting and I'm replying to them. So please ask your questions in the comment section. Another thing that came out was Trump's tax credit to have kids. I know it sounds wild, right? And it is wild. Because, of course, the little tax credit you're getting for having a kid, I mean, people that didn't raise kids from 0 to 18, you know damn well that little tax credit ain't going to do nothing for how much it's going to cost to deal with these savages. Savages, I'm talking about kids. So, with that, if you just look at the headline, Trump want to give you $1,000 or $1,500 tax credit for having kids. But if you want to look at it and just look real deep into it, of the why and the why. I always talk about the why and the why. The why is the baby boomer generation is the biggest generation ever created in the United States. And no generation after the baby boomers have came near to the population growth that the boomer generation had. So why would a president or any government want their population to grow? We've seen it in China. They got rid of the one baby rule. You've seen it in other Asian and European countries. They trying to float the idea of having more kids. But the reason why is because of the tax obligation. They need more of the future generation to be created, so is more people that's paying taxes to supplement the previous generations. And the reason why I say that, I know some people might be like, oh man, you tripping, you just made that up. No. Study history. Again, people, I always tell you, study history. And we don't have to look far, especially for us people in America. Look at the city of Detroit. That's my hometown. The city of Detroit Back in the 60s, 70s, they came up with this pension plan. Probably in the 50s. They came up with this pension plan for the city workers. At the time, it's probably 800,000 to a million people in in the city of Detroit. And then they come up with their budget plans and their pension plans based off of 1.2, 1.6 million people being in the city of Detroit in future generations. So that's more people that can pay taxes for the city that can meet the pension obligations for the city employees that's going to retire. The problem is GFC happened, other financial and economic situations in Detroit happened, and then Detroit, instead of going to 1.6 million people, they only have 600,000 people now. So that's way less people that's paying the tax obligation. That's why the city of Detroit went bankrupt. Because they didn't have enough tax revenues from the people working to pay the tax obligation or the pension obligation that they was required to do. Now we can get into all they didn't handle employees' money right and all that. Yeah. But I'm telling you, that is the yin and yang of it. Governments, local, federal, state, they depend on population growth in future generations to OPCON or pay for the retirement plans of previous generations. Now, if we combine that with what Trump is asking for, and he want more people to do it, and of course, $1,500 or $1,000 a year for having a kid, hell no, it's nowhere near enough. Let's stop lying to ourselves. But the reason why is this. Now, for all you people with calculators and things like that, follow along with me, because again, I always say, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. I always say that. So with that, I want you to follow along with me in this exercise. So understand that 6.2% of your paycheck goes to Social Security. 6.2%. Now, if 6.2% of your income goes to Social Security, let's do some quick math. And then for people that's on Social Security, you'll see it. And then people that's not on Social Security, then you'll understand why this big Social Security thing is a big issue. So let's say somebody averaged $50,000 a year for 45 from age 20 to age 65. So let's just say $50,000 a year. So 50,000 times 45 years is 2.250 million. So 2.2 million. Now, if you take 6.2% of that, let's just say 6.2% of that, that's $139,500 over that time was taken out for Social Security. So remember, $139,000. Let's just call it 140 for this mathematical equation. 140,000. Now, 140,000 was taken out for Social Security. Now let me open up another calculator here. And then now let's say at 62, 63, you take out Social Security. The average paycheck for Social Security is $2,000. And this is in 2025. It's $2,000 a month. So now let's take this 140,000 divided by 2,000. That is 69.75 months. Now, if we divide that by 12, the Social Security payments, now again, if somebody was making $50,000 a year for 45 years, which we know that we just averaging it out, their Social Security would only last. So if they took it out at 62, their Social Security would only last for the money that they put in to their 67. Now, y'all know it's people out here that's been living 70, 80, 90 years. We know that. So after 6 years, the money that they put in is gone. So how do you think that they're paying the rest of the Social Security? The way they're paying the rest of the Social Security is from the tax receipts and the Social Security receipts that they're receiving from people that's still in the workforce. So for all you that's always been confused on why is Social Security a hot button topic, just understand the money that's put in is not enough to cover the money that's been put out or that's being taken out. 5 years. We can give it 6. We can round up to 6 because it's 5.81 years. So 6 years. So anything after 68 is somebody else's money. That is the key thing about it. So just letting you know, that's why this whole Social Security topic is about. That's the whole reason why the Trump having kid thing is about, because they trying to increase the population growth to have more people on the payrolls, on the Social Security payrolls, on the tax payrolls, and the tax receipts to pay for previous generations. So now nobody can say they don't understand why this is a hot button topic. And if anybody has been on Social Security for more than 6 years, you know why. Now you know why. The money that you put in, those days, that time is gone, and you're taking money from future generations. I'm not blaming you. I'm blaming the government and the people who created the system. That's really who I'm looking at. I'm not sitting there looking at saying, oh, it's your fault. They set the rules. But another thing is, info spot, I like that. But another thing that's out there is we got to be accountable to ourselves, but we have to know the math. You know, men lie, women lie. Politicians, right, left, they both lie. We got to really do the math. Now, just like I did that exercise to tell you how much money you put in Social Security and how much money you get now, especially after you've been on more than 6 years. If we, especially in our 20s, 30s, 40s, depending on Social Security to take care of us, and then only thing you got to do is ask family members that's on Social Security. How well is that working out for them? If they don't have other streams of income coming in to supplement that Social Security, I guarantee you they're sleeping in their kid's basement or on the couch. Guarantee it. So now, I'm in my 40s. And of course, when I was young, I thought, oh, I'm going to live forever. I ain't going to need none of that. I'm good. But now as time rolled closer, I sit there and wonder, like, how the hell is everybody else surviving? You know, this channel, we always talking about, you know, finding other ways to make money, because one thing for sure, two things for certain, inflation is going to keep happening. And the reason why inflation is going to keep happening is because, of course, we need a higher paycheck. We need a higher cost. These businesses and these companies are not going to sit here and say, oh, well, yeah, we make too much money, so we're going to just eat some of the costs and we're not going to raise the costs on our customers, but we're going to pay the employees. That's not going to happen. It's a vicious cycle of employees need a raise every year, cost of goods need a raise, money every year, the owners want a raise every year, dividends increase for companies every year. That is what's going to happen every year. That's why the cost will keep going up. And we know for people that's been on Social Security for longer than a day, the Social Security inflation rate doesn't match the real inflation that's out there. But again, for people, any money questions, please ask in the chat. We're going to get to that in a hot second. Just wanted to hit a couple tidbits that's out in the news right now. And I just wanted to I ain't going to say debunk the myths. I just wanted to let you know why they're coming out. Of course, everything that Trump says is crazy, is wacky. But this is one thing I have for people. It may come out as crazy and wacky, but when he put it out there and then he implemented, and I'll give you a perfect example in a second, but when he implemented, when the next administration came in, they didn't remove it. Now we can debate on the tactics. Now the tactics, you know, that's one thing of how he's trying to accomplish this, but notice most of the stuff is not the premise of what he's saying is not being debunked. It's just the action that he's taking to do it. Have they said that is people on the Social Security payroll that shouldn't be on there? Nobody don't deny that. They just denying that Elon Musk has got access to Social Security. Is people denying that China and all these other countries are taking advantage of the United States as far as trade? No. They're just upset that he's putting tariffs on there and it's raising the inflation. The one for me was, now I did 6 tours in combat. And when he came up with this Space Force thing, I said, what the hell is he talking about? I literally said, what the hell is this? But The next administration came in and they didn't take it off. Matter of fact, the next administration was trying to figure out where to strategically locate the Space Force. I remember back when I had social media, especially on the Facebooks, on my personal Facebooks and things like that. I said the thing about Trump is he gonna give some harsh realities or some harsh truths that the world is not ready for. And the truth is the truth. Not the premise of what he's trying to do is the truth. Now the actions, that's totally up to debate. How to do it, how not to do it, that's totally up for debate. But he's not far reaching when he's saying these things. So just wanted to put some things on with that. But again, now I'm leaving the floor open. I done went 20 minutes in. I'm leaving the floor open. Now I'm just going to go through the comment section. Whatever questions you got about money, topics, finance, housing, stuff in the news. It's just going to be a quick shot because I don't know what you're going to ask about. So I'm just going to reply to it and I'll do the research if I need to. All right, so I'm just going to go from the top to the bottom. Is this why pensions are being taken away? All right, so pensions are being taken away, and yeah, this is a big reason why. I mean, a lot of the big Fortune 500 companies, my mom included, she worked, back in the day. That was an old joke. She worked back in the day where they still had pensions. Even the big 3, 4s, the GMs, and all that, they had the pension plans. But the thing is in true reality, companies are not good at investing money. It's just, I'm talking about your personal money, your 401k. So they came up with these pension plans and they're paying employees that's not generating revenue after they retire. They're not generating revenue. So of course, they didn't put those funds in good funds that will increase with the cost of living, increase with inflation and everything like that. So a lot of the revenue is to pay those pensions. We hear about it all the time in the big 3. Oh, our pension fund is short. In the mechanical and the manufacturing section, they always talking about their pension funds are short. It's because they didn't know what to do with the money. Or they probably didn't put the money where they said it was supposed to go. But they was using a lot of current day revenue to pay for the things that people that wasn't working anymore that was generating revenue was doing. So that's why they pivoted from the pension plans. I mean, hell, even the military didn't cut down the percentage on the pension plans. So it's a lot of crazy bureaucracy, even in private and public companies, that's going on, that money is going places that it shouldn't go, or that people didn't know what the hell they was doing. And now they had to eliminate a lot of programs that people was used to, especially back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. They're gone. What else we got there? I like the job Elon Musk has done saving taxpayer money. InfoSpot, I do. And the media, how they shape it is, oh, they saved $1 million. But if they don't rehire all those people again, then that's $1 billion or $100 billion over years. I believe in fiscal responsibility, even in my personal life and everybody's life. Hell, some people say, hey, I'm too much in everybody's life, but I believe people should spend money that is financially responsible. Period. I don't care if it's local government. I don't care if it's federal government. Just because you have these revenues coming in, that don't just mean you get to just spend it willy-nilly. I don't care who it is. Because eventually, because you're spending it willy-nilly, you're spending more than you're bringing in, you're going to be in a situation where you're $3 trillion or $32 trillion in debt. Or like most of America, that's over $1 trillion in credit card debt. That's what happens. So I agree. I always love cutting spending. Vasone, if people stop spending money on things that they didn't need, would inflation not really be a problem? Things would be way cheaper. I love that. I love that question. See, this is the people I like. I love that question. The only way inflation can go higher is if the demand drives it higher. Meaning, if people just stop spending money on one certain product or good, again, remember the supply-demand curve. The price can only go higher if the demand outreaches the supply. So if the demand is up there and it's reaching supply at capacity, then you can raise prices as a manufacturer, as a company. You can raise prices. But if demand is not there for a product and good, if you ain't getting the demand at this price point, when it goes higher, you damn sure ain't gonna get the demand. So they have to lower prices if people just kept the money in their pocket. Now, if everybody in the United States kept the money in their pocket, we'd be in a recession for forever. But that's really how it works. And the inflation itself, that 2 to 3 to 4 to 5% a year of annual growth, they have a perfect storm. They have supply close to capacity, they have demand at capacity, and then of course they have workers, US workers. That's why you see a lot of companies when the demand is waning or it's not up there. We can check the soda industry. Look at the soda industry. A lot of the soda companies, people are starting to get health conscious. So the ideal of, oh yeah, we're gonna drink like 15 Cokes a day, that's the way of the dodo bird. So now the demand is there, but it's not where it used to be. So now these companies have to figure out, okay, how can we cut costs and still keep our margin? A lot of those companies are shipping it overseas. That's why a lot of auto manufacturers are shipping it overseas, because it's only at a certain price point that you can get a Kia Sophia and you're going to keep raising the price on it and people are going to be like, oh yeah, that's cool. They're going to stop. So that's really the nuance and the thing about it. That's how it all works. I love the trolls in the trolling section. But what else we got here? But good question for Sony. So essentially, where's Social Security payments going to come from in the next 10 years? Well, right now, even today, Social Security is borrowed money. Even today, it's borrowed money. All the debt that comes in, Social Security is borrowed money. 10 years from now, will there be Social Security? I don't have a clue. But the thing is, I'm always saying, don't bank on Social Security, especially if you're in the younger generation. If you're in the boomer generation, yeah, you can bank on it. But my generation and younger, thinking that it'll still be here, I wouldn't bank on it. Even if Social Security was here, how much is it? How much is Social Security really? Right now, the average Social Security payment is $2,000 a month. If anybody who lives outside of Arkansas, and I'm not blaming Arkansas, Mississippi, they have a lower cost of living, but $2,000 a month, you can pay your rent, maybe a utility bill, but you can't cover the medical costs. You can't cover a car payment. You can't do nothing. I mean, hell, here in Florida alone, $2,000 a month, you can probably get you an efficiency apartment somewhere in the hood. So $2,000 a month is really not going to do anything. So you need to do way more than Social Security out there. The person who pioneered the 401k came out and said 401ks were not designed to be the only source of income after retirement. Saying you're 100% correct. You are 100% correct. I'm always saying that you need multiple sources of income. But if you got the 401k and then you got Social Security, let's just say you was dedicated and diligent the whole time in of course you was dedicated and diligent in Social Security because it was taking it out of your check before you got it. But you also got it when you also did the same thing with the 401k. And then you use the 4% rule, the 8% rule. Those combined will put you in a way better situation than, okay, we 100% dependent on Social Security, or we 100% dedicated to the 401k or dependent on the 401k. But the thing is, this is reality. Most people that was in 401ks, most people didn't work 45 years straight and was in 401ks. That's just the truth. A lot of people borrowed against their 401k and they put themselves into debt inside their 401k. That's just the reality. So that is a lot of nuances and characters that go along with it. Is you can't sit here and just depend on one apparatus and think that is going to be your savior. We already know Social Security ain't it. If you wasn't diligent and dedicated to the 401k and then invested in the right things in the 401k, if you sit there in the default investments that your business and company provided for you in the 401k, then you don't have enough capital in one or the other. But combined, you're a little bit better. But just one, you screwed. So, hey T, what's going on? What else we got here? Do you know why they closed all of the Job Corps yesterday? Now a lot of our young people have nowhere to go. I haven't heard anything about Job Corps being closed. But I did see that with the government taking the money from Harvard and things like that, that they was thinking about putting it into like hard skills, like trade schools. So I haven't heard anything about Job Corps. That I haven't heard that name since I was in Detroit, but I haven't heard anything about the Job Corps closing. But I had to look more into that. But that's a good one. Do I ever miss my neck? Nope, I sure don't. I sure don't. That was a good question though. Nope, I sure don't. But it's right there. It's right there. I'm just hunched over trying to get close to the screen so everybody can see my fat ass face. But good question. Definitely because disability checks in Michigan probably are getting a once a month check for anywhere from $759 to $900 a month. That's true. People that's on SSI, let's be honest. If that's the only source of income, then unfortunately you're screwed. I mean, I know the laws that go around it. Oh, I'm on SSI now. Now I really can't do any work to bring in more income. That's what I talk about. Never be dependent solely on the government for anything. Because if you're 100% dependent on them, that means they dictate your life. People that's been following this channel long enough, they know I always say, I don't care who the president is. I don't care who's in government because they don't dictate what I do. I look to see what they're doing to see how I take advantage of it, but they don't get to dictate what I do along the process. I just make adjustments, just like all these companies are making adjustments. Just like even though Trump putting on these tariffs, there's a loophole around the tariffs. I know a lot of people don't know there's a loophole around the tariffs, but companies are starting to figure that out. They starting to reach out to the right people in the components, and they understand that there is a loophole around it. Now, of course, it's a lot of paperwork and nuance to go along with it, but there is a workaround, especially for major importers in the United States. But that's the thing. I look at the news to find the workaway around it. They're going to put up all the barriers they want to. I'm just looking to see where the loophole that the people who are in the know are using. And then I just use that loophole. I don't care if I don't have the amount of money they have. The loophole still works. It's universal. It's not just for, hey, if you make $100,000 a month, you can use it. It's universal for everybody to use it. So that's something that people need to understand. What else we got out here? Any other questions? I think I went through the whole list out here. But that was some great questions, Vasson. Yeah, no, my neck is there. I know I'm fat. Y'all don't have to tell me. Thanks for the trolling. But is there any other questions out there before we wrap this thing up? And we got done in 33 minutes. That's pretty cool. All right. Well, if nobody have any more questions in the comments section, y'all have a good one. But remember, and this is a real sticking point to this conversation, is don't be dependent. Don't be dependent on the government. And understand, we have a finite time here on Earth. Very finite. Meaning that the ability to, let's say you 40 years old and the only thing you're looking forward to is Social Security. Or you have a 401k plan, but you're in your 40s and 50s and you still haven't even reached a 6-figure mark in your 401k plan. You're behind the 8 ball. Your suitable working years, you probably got 20 more suitable working years to right the ship. So that means you need to get focused and hyper-focused on what your 401k plan is invested in. The allotment that you're putting in your 401k. If you just put in the match in your 401k, fully funding and maxing out a Roth IRA, understanding where those investments go. Because when you start getting 60 and 70 and getting older, then you're at the mercy of whatever somebody's gonna give you. And I know everybody swear they out here good parents, but I'm gonna tell you one thing for sure. I'm not depending on my kids to take care of me. That's really what it comes down to. I don't want my retirement plan to be my kids. But if we don't get it together, that's the only hope we got. And then now you gotta hope you didn't do the right thing, but now you gotta hope that your kid didn't pay attention to what you did growing up and did something totally opposite of you, so they could be in a situation to take care of you. That's worse than gambling. That's worse than gambling. So with all that said, thank y'all for joining. Thank y'all for the questions, comments, and trolls. I even thank you, and I appreciate you for putting those comments and questions and statements out there. Until then, make as much money as you want. When you're 66, can you make as much money? Well, this is Ludine just asked me this question. It just showed up. When you turn 66, can you make as much money as you want without being taxed? That's a good question. That's a good question. Well, if you're on Social Security, well, you can always make as much money as you want. You can always make as much money as you want. But the thing is, if you mean, can you make as much money as you want without being taxed, you mean as a penalty from Social Security? Or do you mean, there's many ways to make money. It's active income, there's passive income, there's long-term capital gains, there's short-term capital gains. It's a lot of different ways to make money. So if you're talking about Social Security, I believe it's 67 without having that penalty on Social Security. I believe that's what it is. I mean, somebody got to correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't even looked that far down the ether of Social Security. But if it came from a balance of, do I make more money and not get penalized on Social Security, or make less money so I can get the max potential on Social Security, I would just make more money and say, damn it. That's truly what I would do, because I don't want to be 100% dependent on Social Security. That's just my true views on it. But for all the questions, thanks. If there's no more questions, we'll see you next week. I believe here, I'll still be here in Florida. I know I got a couple different places to be at, but I'll see you next week to give you the weekly wrap up and tell you what's going on and how it's affecting your money. Until then, y'all have a good one. See you next time.